sniffy about him all the way through. The same as Harry Redknapp had it in a different way, but it is very easy to underestimate that sort of those. So I'm going to say basic skills, but they're not basic. It's not easy to walk into a group of 25 footballers and put them in the right places and send them out with clear instructions about what they're going to do that they absolutely believe in. And Sam Allardyce has been doing that for a very long time. The one other thing I was going to say is I like Alisson, just in my ignorance, I don't know what ballet looks like when it's good to enjoy, never mind when it's so maybe that's safe. That is said in complete ignorance.
You have to like the music. I just wanted to say, one way I would sum up Sam Allardyce for people who don't quite get him and why he's so successful, because he has this amazing record in the top flight of taking over as the firefighter. I sat down with him when he was out of work, and he's one of those people that's quite prepared to sit down and say, I'm really good at this, I'm really good at that. I mean, he'll tick off. He does, and he managed to do it without sounding like egotistical as well. Anyway, he was the first manager really to go into stats in a big way. He likes telling people that, and he's continued to always use statistics, gather information. He likes big backroom staff and so on. But this, I think, sums up Big Sam. So he's really passionate about the statistics, the information at hand, preparing for the opposition. But when he was manager with Bolton, he had to go to Chelsea, and he had quite a lot of injuries, and he decided right, we're not going to train. If we do any training out on the pitch, we might get more injuries, or the people who are marginal, they might become injured. So we're not doing any training. We're going to have a snooker tournament, darts tournament, and a pool tournament. We're not going to tell anybody we've done this in case it backfires, but that's how we're preparing for a football match. And they went and they won, which is why he was able to tell me that's how they'd prepared for it. So he's your combination of your old school, that's the sort of thing you think of from the 1970s, isn't it? We all played cards, and then we played darts, and it was, we had a few drinks. It's a combination of that and the modern, complete Opta-obsessed, packs on the back, what's your heart rate like manager. And he's able to juggle all of that so that you can come into a club and he will literally turn them around. And we saw the beginning of that at Anfield.
Liverpool fraying slightly, Gregor. Got Newcastle next, big game against Southampton, Villa in the Cup, but then Manchester United, Burnley, and then Spurs. And when I say fraying slightly, I just mean, are we starting to feel maybe a little bit of fatigue from some of the younger players who've had to come in? Reece Williams, Curtis Jones as well, just the responsibility on their shoulders given some of the big players who are out.
I think when Matip went off injured and Williams came on, you just saw a bit of fragility there. There was Carlin Grant went through once, and there was no way Williams was catching him. As you say, Jones gave the ball away just before the corner kick that led to the goal, I think it was. I'm not going to. I wouldn't throw too much in that. I think the main thing is fragility at the back. Fabinho's been really good. And Matip obviously is injury prone, so there's, with January coming into view, it will kind of depend on how long Matip's out. Can they rely on Williams and players from the academy to step in with the volume of fixtures they've got on all different fronts? I think that's where the fragility is personally. They were still in the first half, dominant and had other chances. I wouldn't read too much into that personally. I just think at the back, that's the biggest issue for them.
You saw that. We saw that with the goal, didn't you? When you say the Fabinho being bullied for that goal,
yes.
It'd be no surprise if teams, just to see that one moment and think, right, okay, this is something we're going to target. So obviously, it's going to take good delivery and good, it's going to take good implementation, but it's a fairly obvious direct route to trying to find Liverpool's soft centre.
Alisson, anything on Liverpool?
Well, it was. I mean, come on, it was for all I've bigged up Sam Allardyce, it was a freak goal. Do you see the spin on it? Ridiculous. I mean, that happens once every million years, doesn't it? So there was something slightly freaky about it. The whole 2 points dropped. I don't think
you've waded into the Bear team lost territory there, Alison. The managers didn't want to do it, but don't worry, Alison Rudd will fill the void on that one.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker. This is a TalkSport exclusive on TalkSport 2. Today's $1.99 wrap of the day is the barbecue bacon and chicken one. Guaranteed to cause flavour envy. Picture a soft tortilla wrap filled with
crispy chicken.
Lush, smoky barbecue sauce. Delicious bacon too, yes please. Today's $1.99 barbecue bacon and chicken one. So big on flavour, everyone will want some. Only at McDonald's. From 11am.
Stuck for trade supplies over the festive period? At TradePoint, we're open and here to help. So whether it's topping up on essentials or getting timber cut to size, that's one less thing for you to worry about. Shop in store or at tradepoint.co.uk. Stores close Christmas Day and Boxing Day. Opening hours may vary by region. Check with your local store.
Calling all small business owners. The clock is ticking and we're not going into extra time. On the 1st of January 2021, the Brexit transition period will have ended. If you own or operate a small business, this means following new business rules on exports, imports and more. And if you move goods into, out of or through Northern Ireland, you should check what you need to do to prepare. Be ready for business. Use the Brexit Checker tool to find out what your business needs to do. Go to gov.uk/transition.
Dine in this new year for just £15 for two of you. Enjoy a main, side and wine, plus a starter or dessert. Our best ever chicken Kiev, delicious Conte Poulet Prosecco, and maybe a gastropub melt in the middle pudding. This is not just food, this is M&S food. All your M&S food departments are open. Over 18s only, selected stores only, T&Cs apply.
Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus this Christmas.
What is this place?
This is where souls get their personalities before they go to Earth.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Disney and Pixar present
Soul.
It's so good!
It's the family movie event of the year.
Yes!
Filled with comedy. And loaded with heart.
You love life. This I gotta see.
Soul. Streaming exclusively on Disney Plus now.
Isn't this exciting?
It's marvelous.
18 plus subscription required. T&Cs apply.
Impress your friends and seriously irritate your competitors with a hard-working, cost-effective custom ad campaign on TalkSport. Find out what we can do for you at advertiseontalksport.com.
The KFC gravy double bucket with Pepsi Max. 6 chicken on the bone, 6 mini fillets or 8 hot wings, popcorn chicken, 4 fries, 4 gravy boats and a large bottle of Pepsi Max for maximum taste, no sugar. So much good stuff. So little time. Now at KFC for only $15.99 at drive-thru, takeaway and delivery. Ends 3rd of January at participating restaurants, subject to availability.
TalkSport Traffic and Travel. With Swinton Insurance Home Emergency Cover, you can relax this winter. If your heating breaks down, we've got it covered. Visit swinton.co.uk.
Snow is causing treacherous driving conditions across mostly the north of England and parts of the Midlands this morning. It's particularly bad across parts of Yorkshire and in Cheshire, where the A34 is blocked by a number of vehicles stuck in the snow in the Congleton area. In Herefordshire, the A49 is closed each way north of Hereford because of an accident. And in London, Bostall Hill in Abbey Wood is closed because of a fallen tree. That's the latest traffic and travel. I'm Russell Holding.
Businesses who deal with Europe. Time is running out, fast. We've got new rules coming on the 1st of January, and we need to make sure we're ready. Sure, it's another thing on the to-do list, but it's work that won't be wasted, no matter what. Don't get caught out. Visit gov.uk/transition and use the Brexit Checker tool now to get personalised actions for your business. Check, change, go.
Tuesday is Game Day. Exclusive full match commentary of
Brighton versus Arsenal. Coverage from 5:30. Kickoff at 6 on TalkSport.
Official broadcast partner of the Premier League.
You're listening to TalkSport 2. Coming up next is the Game podcast from The Times. And don't forget, tonight we've got West Brom versus Leeds in the Premier League. And then after that, we've got Stoke City versus Nottingham Forest in the Championship. But now, it's the Game podcast from The Times.
TalkSport exclusives on TalkSport 2.
Let's move on to VAR, everyone's favourite, the video assistant referee system. It's changed. It's changed again.
They've trained it for one thing, and then they're changing it as they go along because the game isn't sure what it wants from it either. I mean, we could sit here and talk about it for several hours, get 20 different people on with 20 different opinions. The fact is that it is changing the game. It's changing how people plays, how people look at it, how people talk about it, how we argue about it. And that's changing what people want from it. And they're trying to adapt with that. Now, either you've got patience to see that glitches through, or or like you probably want to chuck it in the bin. But I think the idea that they are sort of doing it all just because they're sitting there thinking, I'm going to screw everyone's fun over is probably unfair. I think they're basically trying to make it up as they are trying to make it up as they go along in a game that's changing with it. Opinions are changing with it, and trying to keep up with the game changing opinions.
So a game worth billions of pounds, the game that was supposed to improve our mental health in the pandemic, the most important sport in the world, and you're now happy that there's a referee, a bit uncomfortable, sat in front of a screen, making it up as he goes along. Ridiculous.
No, I'm saying they're adapting to how the game is changed, what the game views from it. It wanted perfect handball. We've realised you can't get perfect handball. It wanted to intervene where it can. Then it's realised, actually, no, we better go back to clear and obvious error.
I love how we talk about it like it's this kind of life form of itself.
I'll come back. I always come back to the point I always start with, which is sort of, I feel like sometimes I'm on a desert island, sort of clinging to this little flag out there, sort of probably a desert island, probably on my own by now, but just sort of thinking if we can't work out a system that works for enough people to be satisfied with it, then we're not very clever. But maybe we are.
I don't think we are. Yeah, that's the truth.
And this is football. Yeah, and it's football, and you only have to, revel in the madness of it, whether that's on a park pitch or the top of the game, to see that football makes us all mad in enjoyable and other ways. To maybe realise that VAR is just sort of too. Oh, there's too much logic and sort of, I don't know, too much, maybe there is too much precision in it, or too much something in it that's never going to satisfy enough people. We're always going to be screaming and shouting about it, because that's what we do about football. We scream and shout.
And it explains why Reece James didn't. The reason Reece James didn't make a song and dance about it when the referee blew his whistle and gave a penalty against him was because he knew there'd been some form of contact, and he knows that VAR will see some form of contact even if it was irrelevant contact.
He also knew he screwed up because Tierney had done him on the turn and it got him on the wrong side, basically.
Yeah, I agree. Still not a foul, though, whether he complained or not. Look, since the referees are now back in centre stage, the ones on the field, of course, I thought we'd just end on our biggest we was robbed moment, back when the referees on the field of play were king. And I think I'll start with mine, which was clearly Paul Scholes against Jose Mourinho's Porto at Old Trafford. They knocked Man United out of the Champions League. The rest is history. Spurs fans can thank the referee on that evening for the Jose they now have, because he was about 2 yards onside. It was rolled across the box. He tapped it in and it was given as an offside. And it is still by far one of the worst decisions in football in history for me. No need to go into hand of God or Luis Suarez on the goal line against Ghana, because that for me was as bad as it gets. Man United were robbed on that evening in the Champions League. Gregor, what about you as a player?
As a player, I can remember watching games. I remember an Old Firm game when George Cadetti scored a goal that was ruled off for offside. That was like in a really tight title race between the Old Firm, and it was the most ridiculous decision that I've ever seen. Like, he was yards and yards and yards onside. So that kind of brings it back to the fact that, we do need it in some form, because howlers like that are, although they're rare, we don't want them in the game. But that was probably the single worst decision I could ever remember. But playing, I mean, I have to say, the standard. If you think the standard of officiating is bad in the Premier League, you should see it in the Football League and down in the lower leagues. Sometimes it was just truly, truly awful. I can't think of any one single howler though. Come back to me.
You've given us one. I'm happy with the effort put forth in the Old Firm. Matt?
See, I'm refusing to indulge in this this terrible baiting of officialdom. This is just teed up to have another go at officials. And did I bore you with the fact that I was running the line a couple of weeks ago and I gave an offside, ruled out a goal that this kid scored in the top corner, and he called me an effing C word. And there I was with my flag on a Sunday morning, come out for a nice bit of fresh air, watch my kid play football, and some spotty teenager screaming 4-letter abuse at me for about 3 minutes. I thought, this is a bloody mugs game. I think I'm going to go and get a cup of tea. Anyway, no, I mean, I'd always go back to the hand of God, mostly because I remember hurling a book across the living room when, as soon as I realised it was handball. And you don't get more robbed than in a World Cup quarter final, do you? Even though obviously they were always going to win it because they had Maradona.
This is more a confession, really. I was playing for Leyton Orient Ladies, and the referee just sort of blew his whistle and said offside to me. And I spent the next 10 minutes running next to the referee, going in his ear, do you know what offside is? Do you know what offside is? Do you know you're allowed to be level? Do you know you're allowed to be level? Because I was level. I mean, are you stupid? Do you not know what offside is? And it is weird how in the sort of heat of play and desire to win, you forget all your principles. And oh dear. So, but I was right, he was wrong. I was so clear on it. So in some respects, I have huge respect for players who don't do that, who don't just run round after the referee shouting in his ear. Do you not know what offside is?
I was one, I have to admit as well, to give the referee a lot of abuse when I was playing, even on Sunday League. But as I matured, I realised that the game is nothing without them. We can't have it without the refs. So Matt, a final positive note for the referees, as bad as they might be, whether that be at Stockley Park or Hackney Marshes, the game is nothing without them. In fact, the Game Podcast is nothing without you guys. Thanks for listening this week. We'll be back soon. As I say, it's a very busy Christmas schedule, but you can get yourself a digital subscription to the Times and Sunday Times. You'll get more, not just of us here on the podcast, but of course the award-winning journalism from the Times, from the likes of Gregor, Matt and Ali as well. You could maybe give someone a subscription right now. Sign up today. You'll get yourself 1 month free. Just go online, search thetimes.co.uk/the game to get started. We will be back on Thursday. We'll see you then.
There once was a woman who craved Kentucky Fried Chicken. She wanted it so much, but her sofa was so comfy and her house was so cozy. Luckily, she'd just heard on the radio that KFC deliver, so she ordered chicken to that very sofa. The end. Participating restaurants only.
At AO, it's time for our big deal blowout. Save up to £200 on selected Samsung 4K TVs and pair it with popcorn for an epic movie night. Plus, save on your kitchen upgrade with £50 off selected built-in appliances over £399. Enjoy more deals at AO.com and get delivery to suit you 7 days a week. The destination for electricals. Terms and conditions, charges and geographical exclusions apply. Subject to availability.
Whether it's getting back into work, thinking about a different job, or helping you improve your CV, we can help you make a new start. Visit gov.uk/jobhelp. A good place to start.
Live tonight, Amazon delivers 5 live games. Brighton v Arsenal, Southampton v West Ham, West Brom v Leeds, Burnley v Sheffield United, and Man United v Wolves.
Edison Cavani!
Coverage starts from 5 p.m.
Beautiful!
The Premier League. Live and exclusive. On Amazon Prime Video.
Hello, Specsavers here. Just to let you know that during lockdown we can still look after your sight and hearing. All our stores are open and we've got all the necessary measures in place to keep you safe. You can also buy glasses and contact lenses online and have them delivered. Or you can get expert help and advice by phone or even video call. So whatever else is happening, we'll be here if you need us. Find out more at specsavers.co.uk.
The journey to Christmas has been bumpy, but it's time to look ahead. Because whatever you're looking forward to, QuickFit centres will be open to make sure any car trouble is behind you. Visit quickfit.com or your local centre today. QuickFit. Drive away happy. Opening times may vary. Check online for your local centre. All centres close Christmas Day.
Tuesday is game day. Exclusive full match commentary of
Southampton versus West Ham.
Coverage from 5:55. Kickoff 6 p.m. on the TalkSport app.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker.
Exclusive coverage of the PDC World Darts Championship live on TalkSport 2.
A very good afternoon and welcome to day 12 of the William Hill World Championship. From a field of 96, there are just 20 players left standing here at London's Alexandra Palace for the Sid Waddell Trophy, and a cheque for £500,000 as well. By the end of this afternoon's session, the lineup for the last 16 will be almost complete, with just one outstanding third-round match to be played this evening. TalkSport 2 is the home of darts on the radio. Wherever, however you're joining us, we have 3 matches for you on the agenda this afternoon. First up, James Wade, the number 7 seed, a 2-time major finalist this year alone, and with 9 major titles to his name, one of the most decorated players to have never won a PDC World title. The Machine takes on Stephen Bunting in our first match of the day. That's followed by Daryl Gurney, the 2-time major winner from County Derry, goes up against Hollywood Christobi. And to round things off, we have one of the biggest scorers on the planet in 2020, Africa's number 1, Devon Peterson, who plays the unseeded Jason Lowe, the conqueror of the number 4 seed Michael Smith in the last round. I'm Rob Malarkey. We're all set up here on TalkSport 2 with the action scheduled to start in around 10 minutes time or so. So in the meantime, let me bring in my co-commentators for today, Paul Nicholson and Chris Mason. A good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
Paul, first of all, loads to look forward to today, and we will come to that, I promise, but a quick word about last night's action first of all. Essentially, we had wins for Gary, Gerwin and Glenn, the G-Force, all coming through to reach the last 16 last night. But I suppose it's a bit of a shame that 3 really tight, keenly fought encounters that really embody what this tournament is all about is being overshadowed by what Gary Anderson had to say after his 4-3 win over Mensa Suljovic last night.
Yeah, I think last night's action has been overshadowed by words said not shortly after that win against Suljovic. He did take his time and then gave his interview to the media, but I love what you just did with the boy band of darts there with G-Force. I'm all over that. I'm definitely going to cling on to that one. I think Mason's having a little bit of a laugh about it too. But let's not forget that Gerwin Price's game against Dolan was a belter. It went to the very last leg, and Price and Dolan could not be separated. I loved what Mace said in commentary last night. 3 sets all, 2 legs all, 72 points left each. They couldn't be separated at all until Price got first crack at the 72. It was a spectacular game.
Yeah, Chris Mason was with us last night as well. Chris, what did you make of what we saw both on and off the hockey?
I don't think when you have a night like that, it's disappointing that you talk more about someone's actions rather than the performances of the players. I mean, the Gezi Price Brendan Dolan match, absolute thriller. The unknown quantity really in Daniel Baggish. He had Glenn Durrant right on the ropes. That 62 that Does have found to win the set to get over the line. I think the ascendancy was with Baggish there, and that match was literally won on that moment. I didn't fancy Glenn in that last set, but the positives were how Glenn performed early in that match before he had a little bit of a wobble. But overshadowed by Mensa Suljović's actions, and we have to talk about it. Gamesmanship is fine. A war of words or attrition, that's fine. But when you're taking 60 seconds to throw 3 darts, that's where it has to stop. Every other sport has a code of conduct regarding wasting time, whether it be tennis or golf or snooker or there's so many sports, even boxing. If 2 fighters don't engage and they're just sort of running rounds down, the referee will say, "Come on, let's fight." And the sport is in such a great place. You don't want to turn people off. Yeah. I mean, it was great to commentate on because it was dramatic, but ultimately there's a fine line where you can go, and you can talk about all the old players from times gone past. I've had people say to me on Facebook today, well, how about Jockey and Eric? Well, what did they do during a game? They might, Eric would have that way that in pre-match build-up he would try and put sort of thoughts in your mind, and during a game, if he nicked a set or a leg off you, he'd have a little fist pump because he knows the effect it would have on you mentally. But they would never do anything that would interfere or impart on a player's their own performance or their opponent's performance. You have slow players, but when they're taking 2, maybe 3 times longer, they're doing that for a reason, and it's just that fine line.
And it was the variation as well. It was slow at times, it was not so slow at times. But the key point there, Paul, that Chris mentioned is there's nothing in the rules against it as we speak, but maybe time to bring in a time violation rule or a code of practice.
But where do you stop? A player can just stand there for a minute. How we're trying to promote a spectacle. This is a brand.
You have in the past. We've talked about it this morning. A player in the United States called Davis Schneider was famous for throwing 3 darts over the course of 2 minutes. We're not going to get to that stage, I am positive, but you're right, Rob, we don't have it in the rules yet, but I get the feeling that the PDC are flexible enough to possibly bring something in. Remember what happened in the final in 2007? The bullseye rule looked a bit dubious at the time, and they changed it. So I get the feeling at the next board meeting of the Professional Darts Corporation it will be discussed.
OK, we'll leave that there. We'll put that one to bed. We'll move on. As I said, 20 players left standing in the field. We're guaranteed one first-time finalist from the bottom half of the draw. And Chris, it's just all shaping up nicely, isn't it now?
Yeah, the draw is mapping out perfectly. The quarter-final lineups, well, potentially are just going to be absolutely epic.
We'll talk a little bit more about that in due course as well, but right now it's time to get the latest odds with 888 Sports. Sandro Di Michele is with us.
Form focus on TalkSport 2 with 888 Sports. Predict the wins and draws in our free football predictor game. Up for 8 and you could win £8,000. Make your picks now at 888sport.com. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Sandro Di Michele from 888 Sport with us this afternoon. Sandro, promise we won't talk about Gary Anderson and Mensur Suljovic from last night. We're all focused on the tournament ongoing. Starting with today's action, we've got James Wade and Stephen Bunting coming up first. What have you got for us?
Yeah, good afternoon. Another great afternoon of action following on from last night's fun. James Wade goes into this first match as a clear favourite. 2-7 he is to win this. Stephen Bunting, the 27-10 outsider. But he's come through a couple of tough games so far, Bunting, isn't he? Who knows? Maybe he'll spring an upset in this first match.
And looking further down the card as well, we've got Daryl Gurney, Chris Dobie, and also to round things off later as well, we've got that rather intriguing match involving the qualifier the unseeded player Jason Lowe. Can an upset be produced by him against Devon?
The odds suggest that won't be the case. Devon Peterson 2-5 favourite for that one. Jason Lowe, the 15-8 outsider. But we've seen plenty of upsets so far in the competition, haven't we? And I would imagine, I could be wrong, but I certainly wouldn't be in a hurry to back all 3 favourites in this afternoon's session. We've got another really tight game as well in the Daryl Gurney against Chris Dobie match. Gurney 8-11 for that, Chris Dobie 11-10. I mean, if you fancied backing all 3 favourites in the afternoon session, it would return 11-5. But certainly as a bookmaker, we're happy to take the favourites on in this afternoon.
And just a quick word, if we can, about the impact on the outright betting as a result of last night's and yesterday's matches.
Yeah, look, I'm starting to sound like a little bit of a stuck record here, and I'm sure Mace will agree with this, but MVG, he's clear favourite, and even at 21-20, so a shade bigger than even money. He does look a cracking bet, to be honest. The money keeps coming for him, even though he hasn't played any matches, because of the upsets that we're seeing in the competition. Gerwin Price is a second favourite at 9-2. I suppose he was inconsistent in his victory last night, would be the best way to describe it. Dimitri van den Berg, third favourite at 8-1. Then Christoph Ratajski at 18-1, alongside James Wade, Dirk van Duivenbode and Gary Anderson, a 20-1 shot. But it really is all about MVG, currently the 21-20 favourite.
Sandro, great stuff. They were the very latest odds from 888 Sport. Gamble responsibly. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Form Focus on TalkSport 2 with 888 Sport. Official betting partner of TalkSport 2. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Just before we heard from Sandro, we were talking about the shape-up of the draw. Chris Mason and Paul Nicholson alongside me, Rob Malarkey. Paul, I think one of the key things when you look at the draw as well is that one of the following will be in the semi-finals. James Wade, Stephen Bunting, Ryan Searle, Christoph Ratajski, Gabriel Clemens. I mean, what an opportunity for any one of those five.
Huge. And you do have your interest piqued when you look at Ratajski and Clemens, because countries like Poland and Germany are not noted for having people have huge runs in World Championships. The only German to have really gone deep in any World Championship was Mikhail Unterbuchner, and that was in the BDO. But as far as the PDC Championship is concerned, Clemens is making headway this time. He's got Ratajski, and if he gets through that, the German listener figures and viewing figures are just going to go through the roof. I mean, the game between Clemens and Kurtz apparently got over 1 million people watching it. What is happening?
It's in demand, it certainly is, and little wonder when a nation has been inspired to produce, and I think will continue to carry on producing as well. Chris, just looking at that bottom half of the draw in particular, I can't help but take my eyes off James Wade as far as an opportunity knocking for him is concerned. I thought maybe his best chance had come and gone. He's made the semi-finals 3 times before, but I really like the look of Wade, and I think it is set up nicely for him now. He won't get a better chance than this.
Yeah, he's going to have to come through some dodgy ground. I think you can only go by form guide with his match today against Bunting, and I can't see anything but a Wade win and fairly comfortable. Then he plays Ryan Searle, and then we'll play, if he gets past Ryan Searle, he will then potentially play the winner of Gabriel Clemens and Ratajski. I mean, his route in is tough, but if you look at the top half, I mean, I'm convinced. I mean, obviously MVG's in the top half. He was my pick at 9-4. He gets past Cullen, which we fully expect. I expect Dimitri to beat the winner of Chisnell and Noppert. That quarter-final, MVG versus Dimitri, that's where the winner for me comes from. The winner of that match in the semi-final will play one of Jason Lowe, Gary Anderson, Dirk van Dijvenbode or Glenn Durrant, and I just can't see in the form at the moment any one of them, probably with the exception maybe of Dirk, giving either of those winners trouble.
Here's the reason why we think MVG is winning this title on January the 3rd. It's because he has so much experience of finals. He's won 3 and he's also lost 2 finals as well. He's got bucket loads of experience. Everybody in the bottom half has never done that. They've never been to a final. Even James Wade doesn't know what it's like to be in a world final. He doesn't have the experience of the Ali Pali, whether it's crowd or not, the biggest game of the year. He's got all those titles, but this is the one that hasn't been ticked off yet, as well as the Grand Slam, of course. Yeah. But MVG for me is such a huge favourite in this tournament. I think he's revelling in it.
And the thing is, the only one with any kind of form in that second quarter is Dirk van Dijvenbode, and he lacks World Championship experience. Devon Peterson, his form has to be questioned in recent weeks. Gary Anderson doesn't look in great form either. Glenn Durrant just sort of coming back and finding some form, and everybody else apart from James Wade, he's never even made a final.
And the other reason why we are looking at MVG as well, that you failed to highlight there just a few moments ago, Paul, is his tournament average for the 2 matches that he's played so far.
Yeah, it's rather dishy at 107, isn't it? Because that's what he was doing in 2017 when he had his best World Championship performance from start to finish. I mentioned that yesterday, but MVG to me looks destructive, and he wants to become the second person in the world currently with 4 world titles, because Lisa Ashton has 4, of course.
And Chris, what I noticed about the draw as well, it seems we've got a really nice mix of a little bit of everything. Some of the sports heavyweights, MVG, Gerwyn Price, Gary Anderson, some of the young stars, rising stars as well. I say rising stars, Dimitri van den Berg's a world match play champion. You've got some of this emerging European talent as well, the likes of Clemens and Ratajski and van Dijvenbode, and you've got a little bit of room for some of the old guard as well, with all due respect to the likes of Mervyn King and Vincent van der Voort.
This is brilliant, and I was looking back at so much when Danny Baggish was playing Damon Hector. It piqued my interest again when looking at previous tournaments, and in the early stages of the PDC World Championship, I think Chris would admit that the strength and depth was probably better in the BDO back then, They were waiting for people to jump ship. And around 98, 99, 2000, 2001, people did come over, the likes of Chris, Steve Beaton, Kevin Painter, Andy Jenkins. These England stalwarts were coming over, and in the turn of the century, between, say, 1998 and 2002, every single last 16 players from England.
Yeah.
If you look at now, very, very different. Germany, Poland, South Africa, Belgium, England, Scotland, Wales. It's all over the place. This is good for the game.
Okay, first up we have James Wade and Stephen Bunting. Worth mentioning as well, to an extent, that Wade doesn't have a particularly good record against Stephen Bunting, and Bunting did beat Wade at this stage of the tournament on his debut in the 2015 PDC World Championship, on his way to the quarter-finals. Is there any hope for Bunting today, Chris?
No, this is a different version for Bunting. When you hear players contemplate retiring, it's always a worry. And we've heard that a couple of times from Stephen Bunting, a super talented player, one of the few to do the Masters and the Worlds in the calendar year. But yeah, he's suffered with form and confidence, and he's playing against a guy that's absolutely bubbling with confidence right now and fancies winning it. Wade has no fear for any player.
And you just look at the contrast as well, Paul, in how they got here. Wade was pretty emphatic against Callan Ridge, winning 3-0. He only lost 3 legs in that one in his opening match, whereas Bunting was actually level at 10 legs apiece in his very, very narrow win against Andy Bolton.
Yeah, I think the last leg of the contest is something that has made Stephen smile for quite a few days. When you can find 11 data in a one-leg shootout, that makes you think, oh, I can do it when I really need it. But my biggest point for this one isn't, if I was to try and approach Stephen Bunting, socially distanced of course, I would walk up to him and say, if you want confidence going into this game, how about you think of this? You've won 2 titles that Wade has not, a world title and a world masters. So go and do it. Let's find out if he can.
Great stuff, Paul, and Chris will stay around for the first match of the afternoon, which is almost upon us, as you can probably tell, with John McDonald, our Master of Ceremonies, on stage and in the background. And we'll hand over to John to introduce the 2 players onto the stage for the first match of the day.
Please welcome the winner of 6 PDC events. Ladies and gentlemen, the former Lakeside champion of the world, the Bullet, Stephen Bunting!
Stephen Bunting, the Bullet, the 35-year-old from St Helens, the number 26 seed here, and the quarter-finalist at Ali Pali on his debut 6 years ago, but very much the outsider in this, the opening match of the day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of 36 PDC championships, including 9 televised finals. Ladies and gentlemen, a 3-time World Championship semi-finalist. Time to meet the machine, James Wade!
James Wade, the 37-year-old from Aldershot, a 3-time World Championship semi-finalist here at Alexandra Palace, most recently in 2013 when he was beaten by Michael van Gerwen. Will opportunity knock once again for James Wade in 2021?
He looks all business today, doesn't he?
Well, we've got the right tables as well, Chris, which is a start.
I think
all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
Tuesday is game day. Exclusive full match commentary of
Manchester United versus Wolves. Coverage from 7:45. Kick-off at 8 on TalkSport.
Official broadcast partner of the Premier League.
You're listening to TalkSport with myself, Ade Oladipo, and former Gunners winger Perry Groves. Remember, we're in for Jim White and Simon Jordan today. Trevor Sinclair, who we were just speaking to, alluded to the breaking news that is coming in to TalkSport right now, and that's that Atletico Madrid have reached a mutual agreement to terminate Diego Costa's contract with the club. Now, he's been trying to get out of this contract with Atletico Madrid. He's 32 years old right now. His contract was due to expire in the summer. He has been plagued by injuries, though, this season, but he's now available on a free transfer in the January window. Perry, there are a number of Premier League clubs that need someone to put the ball in the back of the net, to need to be a nuisance up front. Would you take a punt on him now?
I would need to know, you said about his niggling injuries. That would be the one caveat with Diego Costa, because let's be honest, he's one of those players that when he was playing for Chelsea,
he was unbelievable.
All the neutrals were like, I can't stand Diego Costa. We go, we want him in your team. We go, yeah, of course you would, yeah. If he's fit enough and you haven't got to work for 3 or 4 weeks to get him fit, and if you brought him on as a pay-as-you-play, then I think it's a no-brainer.
Wolves? Obviously, they've lost Jimenez probably till the end of the season.
Because he'll give you a focal point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The young lad, Silva, who's playing up front at the moment, is obviously a decent player, but he's learning his trade.
Wasn't bought in to start every game.
No, they was hoping that Jimenez, and then they'd had to feed him in, bring him out, learn off of Jimenez. Unfortunately, he's had to obviously take that mantle himself. So, depending on the fitness, the levels of fitness that he has at the moment, it is a no-brainer on the pay-as-you-play without a shadow of a doubt. But would you want to come on, someone of that stature come on as a pay-as-you-play? You know what I mean? By a minimum basic wage, and then obviously them for appearances.
Earn it your way. All right, that's one La Liga striker. Let's talk about arguably the best La Liga forward that we've ever seen. Probably, I think, the best player we've ever seen in the history of football. That's allowed to talk to teams in January, and that's Lionel Messi, who's been speaking recently. And he's kind of given hints that, look, he wants to go in the summer. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that he wants to leave Barcelona in the summer. He's talked about maybe going to America. No room for him in the Premier League, you think?
If I was Lionel Messi, I wouldn't be touching the Premier League in the barge pole. He has nothing to prove. He has nothing to prove whatsoever. He's 33, so even though he's still a fantastic player...
He doesn't need to prove that he can go to Burnley on a wet Wednesday
because
in January.
The only way they would work round is that if he comes here... If I looked at his record, there's been 5 seasons at Barca in La Liga where he scored more goals than games. More league goals than games, right? That has never, ever happened in the Premier League. Not one player's ever got a goal a game in the Premier League. I think the most is 34, I think.
Suarez.
Is it Suarez? And Ronaldo, was it? I'm not sure. But so that's never happened. And the only thing he can do is taint his reputation. Because if he does come...
Well, are you saying that you think he would come and not score a bucket load of goals?
He wouldn't. He would not get a goal a game. Because he is on the other side of his curve, coming down in his career. The Premier League is miles more physical.
1 second, Perry.
Just answer my question.
1 second, Perry. Are you telling me you don't think that Lionel Messi can come to the Premier League and still dominate it?
Not now, no.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't. You just answer my question. When he's playing for Barcelona, right, and Barcelona in their pomp, when they were playing middle and bottom tier teams in La Liga, Barcelona and him could be at 75, 80%, and still beat these teams 3-4, 5-0, and he's got a couple of goals. When you're playing in the Premier League, you've got to be at your best every single game. You just said about going, it used to be a wet, windy night in Stoke, but now it's Burnley. It's totally different culturally. And
he would absolutely annihilate Burnley's defence.
No, he wouldn't, because they'd be structured.
So you don't think if they put him in, just for example,
by the way, you've been a bit disrespectful to Burnley, by the way. Exactly. Get ready for that.
They're going to come for you on Twitter. Exactly. But you don't think if they chucked Lionel Messi into that Man City team, they wouldn't dominate?
No, I don't, because I don't think he's the player that he was. And it's Man City fans tell me, would they take him? Because if they take him, and depending on where they're going to play, right, Phil Foden's not getting enough games at the moment. Where
I think they would happily right now take Messi over Foden.
So then he takes all of the dynamic of the team ethos
It's messy though, Perry. Some players can do what they want.
Messy. You're right. It could be messy. But I just think that if I was him, I'm 33. I'm known as one of the, if whatever way you want to go, top players that's ever been, whether you want to go Pele first or Messi or Maradona or whatever. He's always in the top 3 or 4, isn't he, right?
Always, yeah.
He's got nothing to prove. I'd be like, I'm 33, I'm going to the MLS, I'm going to have a nice little retirement, because if he comes here and scores brilliant. We always knew that he was one of the best players ever. If he doesn't, and I don't think he will score nowhere near the goals.
3 or 4 years too late?
Yes, if he was
28, 29.
27, 28, 29 maybe, but we saw Cristiano Ronaldo when he was here and he was at his physical peak and he was just becoming the player that he was going to be at Manchester United. Even he didn't get a goal a game in a very, very, in an ex-Manchester United team. Yeah. This Man City team isn't the power that it was either over the last 2 years. So there's other problems in Man City rather than someone like Lionel Messi. Do you know what I mean? They've got problems as a centre-forward, not him, but as a centre-forward.
Can you turn him down? If Messi goes to Pep Guardiola and says, sign me...
Pep Guardiola will take him.
He'll take him in a heartbeat.
He will, but I don't think it will be the given that he's going to be the success that you seem to think that it would be.
I just think he still is, for me, top 5 best player in the world. Do you think he's still that? Top 5 in the world?
Yes, I'll give you that. But playing in the Liga, but would his body be able to handle the Premier League and the physicality and the pace and power? Because, as I said before, you can't play at 80%, 90%, where you could do that. Similar analogy to PSG and Neymar and Mbappe when they're playing in their league football. Those two players are all like a goal a game, basically.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that in the Premier League. No chance.
Really? I like the way you think. Okay, he has spoken in that interview about going possibly to the MLS. We know that David Beckham's got a new franchise out in the MLS. Do you think if he's going to go Barcelona, he should just do it that way, go to MLS rather than maybe a PSG?
All right, you've got a choice then.
Go on then.
Manchester, Miami.
Miami.
Even though you
for about half a second.
Exactly.
The was just to make people think that I could say Manchester. Yeah. Miami all day long.
Yeah.
But doesn't that tarnish his reputation?
No, not at all, because he has nothing to prove. He's won.
But look at Ronaldo, who's always been competing with. At 33, he went to Juventus.
But he did it the other way, where when he was at his physical peak, he was playing in the Premier League. Then he wanted another challenge, which is Real Madrid, became their main player. Done and dusted there. Then he goes to Juventus, which I can understand and admire. But they're different physically. They're different players physically completely. So I just think he's just past that peak. And I can only, as a player...
How many goals do you think he'll score in the Premier League?
If he had a run of these in a season, he'd probably get 20. If he's playing 38 Premier League games, how many do you think he'd get?
30. Easy. He's Lionel Messi.
Easy. It doesn't matter.
And he's taking penalties.
Have you seen the Premier League and how much more difficult it is and how players struggle to adapt in the majority when they come to Premier League, the pace of it and the power and the relentlessness of it, game after game after game.
Have you seen some of the state of the defending in the Premier League?
So you're saying Burnley's 4-4-2.
Didn't say Burnley. You're shouting out.
Did?
I did not say Burnley.
You said he'd run rings round him. I heard you before.
I did. Let's see what Lionel Messi does do. Look, there's no doubt there's going to be a lot of speculation about Messi coming to the Etihad and Man City. Let's see if it happens. I, for one, just because I'm a Messi fan, would love to see him in the Premier League. But I'm with you. I think if he does go somewhere, he's going to Miami.
Well, you've got choice. You're his agent. Hello, you know? ¿Cómo está? Muy bien. You're going to go to Miami or Manchester?
10 out of 10 for effort there. Execution, not quite sure. All right, up next, we're going to talk all things Sheffield United as they travel to Burnley. They travel to Burnley this evening. Up next.
In sport, anything can happen. The prospect of crushing defeat can turn to glorious victory in the blink of an eye. Which means one thing, you need to stay on the ball. Every Monday to Thursday night, Bet365's Top Tipster brings you the latest form and odds for the Premier League and Championship. Stay on the ball. Tonight from 7 on Kickoff on TalkSport with Bet365, the world's favourite online sports betting company. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Having a seriously ill child in hospital feels like drowning.
It is the most horrendous situation imaginable.
It's every parent's worst nightmare. And for those families, staying close to their child becomes their number one priority. For over 30 years, McDonald's has supported Ronald McDonald House Charities UK, who provide free accommodation for families close to hospitals. So to everyone that's ever donated in McDonald's restaurants, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You may be in contact with more people over the holidays, so it's critical we watch out for COVID-19 symptoms. Here's Dr. Karim.
Remember the signs of COVID-19, a high temperature or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste or a new continuous cough. If you have any of these, even if you are feeling okay, you must isolate at home to stop the spread, and you must book a test immediately. You can book a test as normal throughout the festive season. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
Just dropping off a few presents for the kids.
A few? It's doorbell season, so get ready for all the festive deliveries coming your way with a Ring Video Doorbell.
Delivery. Got a big one today.
Oh, great. Can you leave it round the back, please?
Ring lets you see, hear and speak to whoever's at your door from anywhere, right from your phone.
Hey, we just bought you a few things.
Be there for every moment with a Ring Video Doorbell. For great festive savings on selected devices, go to ring.com and major retailers today.
Whether it's getting back into work, thinking about a different job, or helping you improve your CV, we can help you make a new start. Visit gov.uk/jobhelp. A good place to start.
TalkSport. Sports headlines.
With Bostik, a leading brand in tiling for over 130 years. For high-performance tile adhesives and grouts you can rely on, trust Bostik.
You're listening to TalkSport with myself, Adi Oladipo, and former Gunners winger Perry Groves. We're in for Jim White and Simon Jordan today. In a few minutes, we'll be speaking about Sheffield United as they travel to Burnley this evening. It's a game that you can hear live on TalkSport app. Before that, though, Jake Robson with the sport headlines.
Thank you very much. The Premier League has returned its highest number of positive coronavirus tests in a single round of testing this season, with 18 new cases recorded. It says that between December the 21st and 27, 1,479 players and club staff were tested, with the 18 who now having the virus self-isolating for 10 days. A number of those cases are at Manchester City, after an outbreak there saw their game with Everton called off at 4 hours' notice yesterday. In other news, Diego Costa's contract at Atletico Madrid has been terminated. The club say the striker asked to leave the club after he spent 2 spells out for personal reasons. And Thomas Tuchel has now officially been fired by PSG, with Mauricio Pochettino expected as his replacement.
Hawksby and Jacobs, clips of the year on TalkSport. Paul and Andy serve up the biggest blunders, bloopers, glitches and gaffes from another year of TalkSport broadcasting excellence.
Apparently this show's much better when it all goes wrong. What a surprise that is.
New Year's Eve from 9 p.m. on TalkSport.
Listening to TalkSport with myself, Adi Oladipo, and former Gunners winner Perry Groves. In for Jim White and Simon Jordan today. Man, we've got so many games today across the TalkSport network. One of the games that we want to focus on now is Burnley versus Sheffield United. That's a kickoff at 6 o'clock. It's on the TalkSport app. Remember, make sure you don't miss a thing by simply downloading the free TalkSport app, where you can swipe between TalkSport and TalkSport 2. We've got exclusive games galore from the Premier League and EFL, plus a bundle of special Christmas program and podcasts made just for you. Ask your smart speaker to simply play TalkSport or TalkSport 2. James Savundra is with us now, TalkSport reporter, as we look forward to this game. James, Sheffield United, I've been critical of how they played this season. I've been critical of Chris Wilder and his performance. Look, they've only got 2 points out of a possible, I think it's 42 available. This is the kind of game, though, that they would have looked at and thought, you know, we have to win this one and we're going to give ourselves a chance.
Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, I agree entirely, Addy. And when you look at the fixtures they've got coming up as well, after this, they travel to Palace at the weekend. They've got Newcastle at home over the next couple of weeks as well. But it's getting to that stage now where they simply do need to be picking up points pretty much every game now, because they are being cut adrift. And you're looking at sides like Fulham and Burnley, who they play tonight, and even West Brom, who look like they show signs of progression and signs of getting away from that bottom three. Because in the past, yes, they only had 1 point, but they weren't that far away from 17th place. Whereas now, you do see these teams progressing, and Sheffield United are standing still. Saying that, though, there's been times where they have looked like winning games. I mean, they should have beaten West Brom. Last week against Brighton, they held on for so long and then conceded that late goal. They have had opportunities. They're losing by the barest of margins as well. It's not like they're being thrashed every week, but when you do look at the demeanour now of Chris Wilder, you do wonder what's going on there, because they have spent a fair amount of money. It's not like they've not spent any money at all. And the players they've brought in, particularly the strikers as well, just haven't worked at all. And they don't look like scoring more than one goal a game. And you really need to be offering a little bit more in that final third. Unfortunately, they're not doing that at the moment.
Jimmy, the thing that was really interesting with Chris Wilder's last interview after the Everton game, he actually said himself, we haven't got the quality. Now, if I was a player in the dressing room, I'd be going, hold on a minute.
Hang on.
Do you know what I mean? Everybody can see it from the outside, but for a manager to actually admit it, that's quite unusual.
It is really unusual, especially when you consider they're not going to spend much money in January. I think Chris has spoken about potentially 2 loan signings. I'm not sure what sort of calibre of player they could bring in on loan. I'm not sure if Dele Alli would fancy going to Sheffield United, maybe Jesse Lingard, Danny Rose. If they get those sort of players and get them firing, maybe they've got a chance, but I'm not too sure about that. It is strange. I mean, one thing that we like about Chris Wilder in the media is that he is so open, he's so honest, and he says exactly how he feels. Sometimes that's not what the players want to hear, and it's going to be a demotivated playing squad at the moment. They're not going to be too happy, because when you look at what they achieved last season and what they're performing this season, I don't think there is actually too much difference between the level performances. They're just not getting those breaks, and when they play the way they do, when you're relying on the finest of margins to try and win games, when you're not creating barely any chances, if it doesn't go your way, then you are going to lose the tally of matches which they have done this season.
James, ahead of the game, I know you've been in conversation with Burnley goalkeeper Nick Pope.
Yeah, absolutely. And putting aside that defeat to Leeds on Sunday, it has been a really positive run for Burnley. They've climbed out of the bottom 3, and much of that has been thanks to that foundation at the back with Ben Mee, James Tarkowski and Nick Pope. And I've spoken to the Burnley and England keeper ahead of today's game. It's 3 years now since he excelled. You remember when he stood in for Tom Heaton, got that England cap, went on the plane to Russia. He's not really looked back since. And he told me he feels like a much more rounded keeper now.
Obviously having Premier League experience over that time is only going to improve anyone, and also, international experience as well, and a good few international camps as well. So I feel like in the last 3 years I've come on leaps and bounds just because of that, mainly, having the chance and being able to string that many games together at a high level, and, to play international at international level as well.
And with the added spotlight that comes with playing international football and the added scrutiny of playing in the Premier League, how have you handled that over the last few years? Does it become easier? Is it something that you just accept?
I think growing up a football fan, I think you accept that there's going to be, closer scrutiny higher up you play. It's part and parcel. I think as a goalkeeper, you have to be thick-skinned anyway. You're normally closest to the fans to shout at you, and you, obviously not at the minute, but you're normally that. And when you're a goalkeeper, you make a mistake, it normally leads in a goal, and you've got to respond to that. So I think being a goalkeeper, you're thick-skinned and well used to that sort of thing anyway. I think it's very much part and parcel of what comes with it.
The Euros coming up next summer, all being well. When you're on the field of play, do you think about the fact that every movement, every save, everything you do is being scrutinised, and it's potentially something that's being thought about by those in the field of power of selection?
It's like deja vu, because we're saying it's the Euros next year, this time last year, weren't we? It's going all over again, Groundhog Day. No, not in particular. I think for myself, the next time England is that important for me will be March when we meet up. I think that I've always looked at that sort of thing as kind of, concentrating England when it's England time, and also a big part of not getting too far ahead of yourself. I think when I got on the team 3 years ago, what stood me in good stead was really taking it one game at a time and not looking too far ahead. So with that, kind of building off that experience and using kind of what I used back then, stand me in good stead to kind of use again. So the England stuff, as much as I am excited and looking forward to the summer and the possibility of being part of the European Championships and games in the home country, it's something that I can't take up too much of my mind at the minute.
So that was Burnley and England goalkeeper Nick Pope there. 5 clean sheets for him already in the league. He seems to be coming into a bit of form just at the right time. But Perry, where for you does he stand in the pecking order when it comes to England keepers? Because I thought it was quite interesting what Gareth Southgate said in the last international break, and he said that nobody was seriously challenging Jordan Pickford for that number 1 spot. But I think with Pope, I think with Sam Johnson and maybe you chuck in Alex McCarthy as well. There are players that are putting a bit of pressure on Pickford at the moment.
Do you know what? I thought that I like Gareth Southgate and normally talk sense, and you can see where he's coming from.
I love the way you do that first. You like him, but you're going to batter him.
But I'm not going to batter him, but I thought it was a ridiculous statement, saying that no one is seriously put, as if to say Jordan Pickford basically can throw one in every other game, which he's doing, right? Yeah. And he's in. So I thought that was a ridiculous statement, because again, if you're goalkeeper, you're thinking, hold on a minute, Nick Pope, I'm actually playing all right here for Burnley, and I know that the reasoning is because Jordan Pickford is good with the ball at his feet and he can play out from the back the way that Southgate wants him to. Nick Pope probably is never going to be like that playing for Burnley, because they don't play like that. That's not their style and their system. But I think he's a very, very, very competent goalkeeper.
You think he's a better goalkeeper than Pickford?
I think he's a better goalkeeper than Pickford, absolutely, because I don't think he makes as many rash decisions. I think he's better in the 6-yard box. I think he's better at coming with crosses. So I think he's more stable. I think in games, even though Everton have been playing well, there'll be games where Everton are under a bit of pressure, and for no reason Jordan Pickford will come from a cross that he has no right to come from, and you think, why just calm yourself down? He's too erratic.
Wants to get involved too much.
Yeah, so I would personally, as a goalkeeper, taking away the ball at your feet and pinging it out, as a goalkeeper, I think Nick Pope is better than Jordan Pickford. So I say what Gareth Southgate said there didn't really ring true concerning his other goalkeepers, because Nick, as you said, he's got 5 clean sheets. Burnley have just started a little bit of form, and it should always be on your form. And I know Southgate would say that Pickford's never let me down, which is fine, but if you're not playing very well for your club, you can't all of a sudden, especially as a goalkeeper, just turn on your form like that. It doesn't work.
James, I want to touch on Sean Dyche in a couple of minutes and how I think he's kick-started Burnley again. They're starting to really work for him, I think, that team. But I want to quickly go back to Chris Wilder, just because of what we've seen West Brom do, getting in Sam Allardyce, who's almost this saviour that's going to keep them up, and we saw how well they performed against Liverpool in that second half. Do you think the hierarchy at Sheffield will look at that and think, you know what, maybe we need to get in a manager like that? I don't know who that manager is, that can maybe keep us in this league. Yeah, Tony Pulis has just lost his job. But no, managers like that though, do you think they might start to look at that just because of the impact that I think Sam will have at West Brom?
I do think that the club will be considering options and seeing who's out there, but as you say, I can't really think of anyone that springs to mind that you think would go in there and definitely do a good job. They'll surely have half an eye now on what would potentially happen if they go down. And I do think Chris Wilder's the sort of man that you would want in the Championship if you were trying to get up at the first attempt. As negative as that sounds already talking about relegation. But as you mentioned with Tony Pulis, you only need to look the other side of Sheffield and what they've done, sacking a manager after just 10 matches with them 2 points adrift of safety at the moment. And you do wonder whether, if anybody's going to do it, is going to be Chris Wilder. He took them up from League One to the Championship, from the Championship to the Premier League, from the Premier League nearly to the cusp of Europe. I think he deserves an opportunity to try and turn things around. And I do think he's the sort of guy, if he realised he couldn't do the job, I think he would go to the owners and say, I think I've done all I can. Consider other people, because I simply can't do this job anymore.
Yeah, I agree. He deserves it. He's got credit in the bank and he's done a fantastic job at Sheffield. And I think he still could get them out of it, just because they're only, I know it sounds a lot, they're only 11 points adrift at Burnley. That's why today is a must-win game. It's a must-listen-to game as well. Remember, Burnley versus Sheffield United is a game you can hear exclusively on the TalkSport app this evening from 6 o'clock. Don't miss a thing by downloading the TalkSport app. You can do that now. Quickly, just before we go to break, we asked people to text in about the penalties earlier.
Okay.
Julian Dix's name got mentioned a lot.
Ball down on the spot, walks back, smashes it left-footed. That's it.
That's it, isn't it? Simple.
Yep, no frills, man.
Nah.
Brilliant penalty taker.
Love it. Keep those texts coming in, 8, 10, 89. Remember, you can give us a call as well, 08717 22 3344. Up next, we talk your team, your old team, Perry, Arsenal. Big next 2 games for them. Are we starting to see a little turnaround, Arsenal? What's up next?
Welcome back to the ground. Tickets, please. Thank you, madam. And let's see, sir. Oh, sorry, no, you're in Tier 3. No, I ain't. We're in Tier 2. We're allowed to be here. You can't take away my freedom. Tier 3 of the stadium over there. Donut. What? By the donut stand.
Stadiums might not yet be full, but Paddy Power's offers are at full capacity. If one leg of your 4+4 Racca lets you down, get a free bet on all football and all markets. Paddy Power. Max free bet £10. Min odds 1 to 5 on each leg. Online exclusive. Exclude shop bets. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
It's been a rollercoaster of a year for the construction industry, but we're doing all right. Looking at the finances, the numbers really tell a story, and it's easy to see with Xero accounting software. I've been using them since I set the business up. I can manage my accounting and send quotes and invoices straight from my phone, which is really convenient for me as I'm often out on site. Xero really does help us businesses, and they've even given me this chance on the radio. Hi, I'm Ben Timmins, and I'm from KMR Construction.
Manage your accounts easily with Xero. Visit xero.com.
You may be in contact with more people over the holidays, so it's critical we watch out for COVID-19 symptoms. Here's Dr. Karim.
Remember the signs of COVID-19, a high temperature or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste, or a new continuous cough. If you have any of these, even if you are feeling okay, you must isolate at home to stop the spread, and you must book a test immediately. You can book a test as normal throughout the festive season. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
Live tonight, Amazon delivers 5 live games. Brighton v Arsenal, Southampton v West Ham, West Brom v Leeds, Burnley v Sheffield United, and Man United v Wolves.
Edison Cavani!
Coverage starts from 5 p.m.
Beautiful!
The Premier League, live and exclusive on Amazon Prime Video.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Stuck at work late? Worried about walking home on the mean streets of Night City? Not anymore. Just order me, Delamain. I'm the AI cab with activated combat mode, so you can sit back and enjoy the ride. Delamain. Leave your problems at the door. First ride free. Pacifica included.
Cyberpunk 2077. The future of gaming. Drive supercars, battle corporations, and upgrade your body for life in Night City. Buy your copy today on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Stadia.
Peggy 18. TalkSport Traffic and Travel with Swinton Insurance Breakdown Cover. Add it to your car insurance policy and you won't need to worry about keeping moving this winter. Visit swinton.co.uk.
Snow is causing problems in some routes across parts of the north of England and Midlands. The A537 Cat and Fiddle route is impassable between Macclesfield and Buxton. In Shropshire, the A49 is partly blocked by an accident in the snow north of Shrewsbury. In Herefordshire, the A49 is closed in both directions north of Hereford after an accident. And on the M40 in Buckinghamshire, there are southbound queues after everyone was stopped for emergency repairs along the stretch between junctions 4 and 2 from High Wycombe towards Beaconsfield. That's the latest. I'm Russell Holding.
COVID-19 remains highly contagious, and even people without symptoms can spread it. So we need to keep using hand sanitizer in shops, keep wearing our face coverings on the bus, keep making space at the school gates. And now we're indoors more, we should let fresh air in to help blow COVID-19 particles away. Let's keep doing all we can to protect each other and help stop the spread. Remember, hands, face, space, and let fresh air in.
This is what real sport sounds like.
Oh my word! How on earth did he squeeze that in?
This is TalkSport.
You're listening to TalkSport with myself, Adi Oladipo, and former Arsenal. Do you prefer Arsenal or Gunners winger?
Gooner winger.
Gooner.
No, yeah, because I'm actually asked, so Gooner is it?
Gooner,
yeah, proper Gooner.
Right.
Yeah.
For now on, it's Gooner winger.
Oh,
Perry Groves, good, yeah?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you very much. In for Jim White and Simon Jordan today. Keep your texts coming in, by the way. I'm going to read out a couple here. Your texts about penalty takers. Who are the best penalty takers you can remember? Get your texts coming in 810 809. Chris from Brighton says, James Beattie, ball down, walk back. Remember, he used to do that with his back to the goal, turn around, bang.
And sprint. Full pace.
None of that little tippy-tappy hop, skip, jump thing.
Didn't look at the goalkeeper, wasn't goalkeeper dependent, didn't try and play the will I go there, knew in his head exactly where he was going to put it. It's a great shot, that.
Yeah, honestly, great shout. All right, let's reminisce a bit here. Why not? All right, on this day in 1990, Andy Cole made his league debut, and it was his only appearance for Arsenal, substitute appearance against Sheffield United. What was Andy Cole like back then? Kind of give us a little clue as to what he was like coming through.
Very confident. He was my boot boy back in the day. But he was rubbish. I didn't think there'd be a worse boot boy than me, like an apprentice. And he was. He wasn't interested, quite rightly, in doing cleaning boots. And then I think they made him head apprentice. Do you
think that needs to happen now?
Yeah, I think the younger players are far too cosseted. I think there's the rungs of the ladder you have to go up and the rites of passage. and it makes you. It teaches you respect for other people and doing your jobs, like doing the boots, doing the kit, sweeping the stands, whatever. It gives you a grounding, and I think it makes you hungrier, because I was cleaning professionals' boots when I was 16 and they were 18. And I'm like, well, why am I cleaning your boots? But they've earned the right because they earned their professional contract. And that's what happened. I couldn't wait I used to have to do 22 pairs of boots, I think, was at Colchester, because there's only 5 apprentices and I was the boot boy. That was it. So, but Coady was very confident.
You played in that game, right? Sheffield United?
Yes. I think we won 1-0 down. I think we won 4-1. Vinnie Jones ran around booting everybody from what I can remember. But Coady quite rightly was confident, and he thought he should have been in the team in 89, 90. But in front of him, you had Paul Merson, Alan Smith, Kevin Campbell, Quinny was there. I was playing up front every now and again, but I wasn't a centre forward. I said, well, it was a winger really who played up front. So, but I have a laugh and joke with Coady saying, you think you should be in the team, but he was only 12 at the time, Coady. I have to calm myself down a bit. But because he was confident, quite rightly, you should think you're better than people that are in the team. That's what but he probably just wasn't ready, and 2, he didn't suit the way that we played at that time, where it was high energy, closing down. The centre forwards had to go and press the fullbacks and press the centre halves and track back into midfield. So then Coady went on to Fulham, did okay, came back, and then he went to Bristol City for 500 grand in 1992. And that was still quite a lot of money. I think probably the record transfer in 92, 93 was probably only about 3.5, 4 million quid. Tutelage under Dennis Smith, and he told about Russell Osman, 2 old pros who helped out, scored bundles of goals, playing what he will say, he learnt his trade at Bristol City.
Did you ever think, though, that he was going to go, probably a silly question to be honest, because no one's going to think that someone's going to go to do what he did.
No, because...
Did you ever think he was going to get to half of that?
No, because we were told, and we saw glimpses of him in training, you could tell the ability was unbelievable, but you never know. Just because you've got fantastic ability, you don't know about a young player's desire or their mental strength. So going to Bristol City showed mental strength, because he had to drop down the league, score goals. Then when he started playing with better players, then goes to Newcastle. Yeah. Scores, I think, 55 and about 80 for Newcastle. I can remember.
Something ridiculous.
Incredible. Then Manchester United, weekend, is another step up with pressure and playing with better players again. Took to it like a duck to water. So every level he went, he improved. And Coady is a natural, what they call a natural goal scorer, in as much as you can work on your technique and work on your runs and all that sort of stuff. But he had a cool brain. When he was finishing, he calmed himself down. And that's something you can't teach people. Do you know what I mean? Where you just... And if he missed a chance, a mortal like me who've missed a chance, that would play in my mind, because I'm not a natural goal scorer. And you think, oh no, I've missed a chance, I'm going to get hammered. Oh, I'll be tense, the next one comes along. Coady and like Ian Wright and the top goal scorer's like, I'll get one in a minute. I know, if I get another chance, I will score. And that's a different mentality. And obviously going on to be one of the all-time great goal scorers in the Premier League.
There's a couple of other players that have been at clubs, so not lone one, but players that have been at clubs. You look at Kevin De Bruyne was at Chelsea. Look what he's gone on to, arguably the best player in the Premier League. Mo Salah was at Chelsea as well. They let him go. Is that foresight from the managers? I mean, is it a case of they were just too young at the time? Can you not see that talent is there and you've got to nurture it?
Well, the 2 players you mentioned were under Jose Mourinho, weren't they? And they were younger players, and they probably weren't ready. The way that Mourinho wanted to play probably didn't suit their style. Probably weren't physically developed enough, what I spoke before, for the Premier League. Go away and prove themselves, come back. And when Mo Salah come back to the Premier League, because he hadn't been a success in the first place, there were still people questioning it, going, all right, yeah, he can do it in Italy, but I'm not sure if he can do it here. Now it looks like it's a no-brainer. Harry Kane is probably one of the biggest examples. The amount of loans that he went on, Bob Mills, like a good friend of mine and of the station, whatever, he had him at Leyton Orient. I think Harry Kane went to Leicester, went to Millwall, went to Norwich. I don't think many of those fans would have looked at Harry Kane then and gone, oh, this is some player we got here. He's going to go on to be like one of the best strikers in the world. But then obviously you develop at different speeds, different times, and then the penny drops sometimes. And you look at Harry Kane now, he's the all-round centre forward. But he wouldn't have said that when he was 19, 20. There's some players at 16, 17, 18, 19, you think, by the way, if your head's on, you're going to be a top player. And there's some players that surprise you. And I think it comes with Harry Kane, comes in one of them.
All right, a couple of minutes left. I want to quickly touch on the game that we've got exclusively live on TalkSport. Kickoff at 6 o'clock. Brighton versus Arsenal, your former team. Have Arsenal turned a corner? Is that the kind of result that
No.
shut it down immediately?
No, it's not turned the corner. What it is seeing a team that played with desire, that played with passion, played with energy. And I was calling for younger legs after the Everton game where Willian wasn't tracking back and Pepe wasn't tracking back. Ceballos was being lazy. I said, get them out. Get the young kids in. Arteta did it further forward. Smith Rowe, Martinelli. Obviously, Saka's been playing.
Wait.
Anyway.
So you don't want Aubameyang back in if he's fit to go?
No, not at all. No. Oh. Why would you turn to the younger players, which he did, to give them a lift and give them energy, and that desire rubs off on them? Takes the pressure off Mikel Arteta by winning 3-0, right? And then all of a sudden you say to those players, thanks very much.
But your best player's fit. He's got to come back in.
No, he hasn't, because it should be on your performance and the way the players are playing. What's going to happen is, I'm just circled him here, Smith Rowe will be the easy one
to drop.
Which normally happens when you're younger.
Yeah.
Aubameyang wasn't dropped, he was just injured. So there's loads of games coming up, so you can manage that situation quite easily, just to say, well, we don't want to rush you back too far. And if you was a player who played in that very good performance against Chelsea and you get left out, it doesn't matter if you're young, you'll be thinking, hold on a minute, I've just got you out of trouble here, and now because the big fella's fit, I'm out. And it sends a message around to everybody else going, you're in my team and the team wins, and you perform and you give me everything you have, you'll stay in my team. Will he put him back in? I said Smith Rowe, I think. And Brighton is quite a nice place to go and play, because Brighton aren't particularly great. Was it one win in last 6 in home in 2020? So Brighton like to play nice football, attractive out from the back. So then you've got West Brom coming. That's not going to be a particularly nice place to go and play.
All right, quick score prediction, Brighton-Arsenal.
Brighton 1, Arsenal 2.
I like it. Perry Groves there, obviously not being biased at all.
Oh no, because I thought we'd get hammered by Chelsea, by the way, at the weekend.
Okay, I like it. Perry, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Honestly, much appreciated. A quick text I want to quickly read out. Someone said, Michael Ballack for penalty takers, 110% agreed. Thanks, Perry. Thank you, everyone that's been listening in. All right, up next, it's Danny Kelly and Charlie Baker.
So I called me mate Tom and I said, I'm waiting for me Chinese to be delivered. What are you up to? And he said,
I'm waiting for me car to be delivered from Cinch.
I said, oh, Cinch. And he said,
yeah, Cinch. Like you said, Cinch lets you buy a quality check used car online with a 14-day money-back guarantee.
And I said,
delivery included right to your door, yeah.
Oh, speak of the devil, that's my lemon pepper chicken. And he said,
nah, that's my tasty motor.
You're in the driving seat now, Britain. Cinch. Cars without the faff. UK mainland delivery only, T's and C's apply.
You may be in contact with more people over the holidays, so it's critical we watch out for COVID-19 symptoms. Here's Dr. Karim.
Remember the signs of COVID-19, a high temperature or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste or a new continuous cough. If you have any of these, even if you are feeling okay, you must isolate at home to stop the spread, and you must book a test immediately. You can book a test as normal throughout the festive season. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
The Vodafone Big Winter Sale is now on. Save £242 on the Google Pixel 5 5G. Now only £38 per month plus £29 up front with 6 gigabytes of data. Switch to the UK's best network as voted by readers of trusted reviews. Ready? Vodafone.
CPI plus 3.9% increase each April, ends 7th of January. Minimum term agreement, credit check and terms apply. 5G subject to coverage. Saving info and award verification at vodafone.co.uk.
Live tonight, Amazon delivers 5 live games. Brighton v Arsenal, Southampton v West Ham, West Brom v Leeds, Burnley v Sheffield United, and Man United v Wolves.
Edison Cavani!
Coverage starts from 5 p.m.
Beautiful!
The Premier League. Live and exclusive. On Amazon Prime Video.
10, 9, 8.
Come on, pick up the pace a bit.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And let's bring on New Year's Day right now. Because there's an incredible 10 UK millionaires guaranteed with Euro Millions on Friday the 1st of January. And that, my friends, really is dream come true money. Get the new year off to a dream start with Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Play on app, online and in-store. Account terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
This is an important message about New Year's Eve. Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and will be spreading it without realizing. And now there is a new strain of the virus which spreads even faster. To protect each other and help stop the spread, you must not meet up with friends or family indoors unless they are in your household or support bubble. Avoid large gatherings of any kind. Let's see the new year in safely at home. Find all local restrictions and laws at gov.uk/coronavirus.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for the last 3 hours, and welcome now to 3 hours in the, what do you call this, the middle of the afternoon with me, Danny Kelly, and Charlie Baker. Yes, people, bizarrely, it's Kelly and Baker on Talk Sport. Insert your own jokes there from people, vintage listeners. We've got a lot to get through, including, of course, a lot of previews. Great deal of live football tonight here on Talk Sport on the whole network. We'll go through all of that. We've got some comedian friends of Charlie's joining us. We'll bring you the latest from the world of Leonard Slutsky and much else besides. That's all after we've had the news and sport headlines, and they come now from Jake Robson.
Thank you, Danny. Coming up, Save Our Hospitals message, and in sport, a record number of Premier League positive COVID test results.
Talk Sport.
The head of NHS England says doctors and nurses are back in the eye of the storm as they deal with more coronavirus infections than during the first wave. In his New Year message, Sir Simon Stevens says this has been the toughest year he can remember and thanked staff for their work. Vice President of the Royal College of Emergency Medicine, Dr. Adrian Boyle, told Talk Radio the best way to support hospitals is to stop the spread, not treat COVID once people have it.
Compared to this time last year, we've lost about 11,000 beds, partly because of the need for social distancing. So we need urgently to create that capacity within the hospital.
The military is being called in to help secondary schools and colleges with coronavirus testing at the start of the new term. Plans for primary, older secondary school and college pupils to go back in early January are going ahead, despite scientists claiming a delay is needed if rising infection rates are to be brought under control. Union bosses want the government to rethink plans. And 150 drones will create iconic images in the sky as Hogmanay celebrations go virtual for the first time. The show in Edinburgh will be the biggest swarm of them ever seen in the UK.
Talk Sport weather with QuickFit.
We're still open across the UK in case you need us. We have extra measures in place to keep our customers and staff safe. Find your nearest centre at quickfit.com.
Inland parts dry with sunny spells but cold. Wintry showers in most coastal areas moving south, dying out as they do so.
Talk Sport Sports Update with Which Trusted Traders. Is your business approved by the UK's consumer champion? Sign up now at which.co.uk/trusted traders.
The Premier League say more positive coronavirus results have been recorded than in any other single round of testing this season. 1,479 players and club staff were tested, with 18 confirmed as having the virus. A number of those are from Manchester City after their game with Everton was called off yesterday because of it. AP's global sports correspondent Rob Harris told TalkSport, while the Premier League maintains stringent off-field rules, on it, standards have slipped.
Limiting the contact between players. I think we used to see a lot more hugging and celebrating in close contact without being some sort of monitor and all this. That was originally discouraged by the Premier League.
Elsewhere, Kilmarnock say they'll pursue the strongest possible action against whoever's behind racist abuse aimed at their manager. Police in Scotland are also investigating after a letter was received about Alex Dyer after a Boxing Day defeat to Livingston. And PSG have finally confirmed the departure of Thomas Tuchel as head coach. Mauricio Pochettino is expected to be his replacement. Remember, there's 5 more Premier League commentaries across the TalkSport network today. You can hear each of them via the TalkSport app.
This Christmas, enjoy the limited edition Double Big Mac with
1 slice of cheese, 2 gherkins, 3 bits of bun, and 100% British and Irish beef.
Christmas is here at McDonald's. Available until the 29th of December. Served after 11 a.m. Subject to availability. Participating restaurants only.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Danny Kelly and Charlie Baker on Talk Sport.
Yeah, welcome aboard, everybody. I'm Danny Kelly, and for the next 3 hours, I'll be in the company of comedian, actor, these days football pundit. That's all I need, another piranha in the tank. That cackle you hear there belongs to him. It's Charlie Baker, and yes, radio history fans, is the return of Kelly and Baker in a very different form.
It needs a parenthesis. It needs a not that one.
An asterisk, not them, thank God. During the course of the next 3 hours, we'll attempt to entertain and inform you. We'll talk about the fallout from the Everton and Manchester City COVID situation. We'll be trying to find out what the hell is going on at Sheffield Wednesday. We'll be previewing all of tonight's Premier League action, often with Charlie's mates from the comedy circuit. Can't wait to talk to some of those fellas. Very funny indeed. We've got the cricket for you, a championship preview, another big night in the championship. We'll bring you the latest from the incredible world of Leonard Slutsky and other singing footballers. And I will talk about how one of Germany's biggest clubs is now on the brink of becoming a national disgrace and an international laughingstock. All of that, plus bits and pieces that we want to talk about as well. But during the next 3 hours, I hope you can stay with us for some or all of it. It should be a belting laugh. Welcome to TalkSport and welcome to Kelly and Baker. Yes, I've also, let me just say, first of all, hello, Charlie, how are you?
Hello, Dan, I'm very well. I'm high on life because my team are top of the league by 11 points.
And there it is, and 8.5 seconds in. 8.5 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. He's mentioned Torquay.
And we've been in 2 7-goal thrillers in the last 2 matches, so very good. I love Christmas football. I love Christmas, Boxing Day football, all of it.
And I'll tell you why, with the ending of the Norwegian League, why Torquay are now such a very important team. I'll tell you about that a little later on the show. And welcome aboard, everybody who's joined us for this afternoon's show. And let me just say that earlier on, when they were talking about how we might make these 3 hours work, they said, have you ever met Charlie? You think you could make 3 hours work? I remember doing the Edinburgh shows at the Comedy Festival for a couple of days last year. In happier times, I have to say, for conviviality, where myself and Charlie and the production crew and about 30 comedians an hour were being jammed into a room which I could have happily worn as a gilet.
And I think we both found out with about 5 minutes to go that we were doing the show, Danny, didn't we? So we both turned up in Edinburgh, and well, I'm normally a lot drunker than I was that day when I'm at the Edinburgh Festival, as I normally am at this time of year anyway, so you know.
And to be fair, you were pretty drunk then, so it's all good. And we got on very well, and we're looking forward to each other's company for the next 3 hours, and hope you can join us, as I say, for some of that. Just to give you the physical surroundings, we will get on to the football in about 5 minutes' time. Charlie's in the studio in London. I keep trying to get back to London, but the regulations, either in the country where I live, in the Republic of Ireland, or in England, keep changing, and of course, all of you try and keep safe as best you can. I'm in my eyrie in the hills in Kilkenny. I just wanted to tell you, Charlie, just to say that normally, and I'll do this for the rest of the show, normally I do my shows in the evening, so I've got the computer where I can see you, and over the top of that I can see let's be fair, a man-sized television.
Of course, yeah.
I upgrade my televisions, it's a rule in my life, for every World Cup. And so now I'm getting to the stage where I'm going to have to virtually project things onto the wall. It is vast. And normally I have a football match on. So if I'm doing the press box, it's the big game that's on in the Premier League game. If I'm doing Trans-Europe Express, we're watching Paris Saint-Germain grind some other French team into piecemeal. But today, of course, there's no such thing. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to watch the magnificent Talking Pictures. Do you know Talking Pictures TV?
Is it an old black and white movie, Danny? You're going to be watching the 39 Steps or something?
Well, if only it was as well known as the 39 Steps. But at the moment, I'll just turn the information on. I'm watching something called Suspected Person. It's a drama directed by Lawrence Huntington, but then some people you've never heard of, starring Clifford Evans, Patricia Rock, David Ferrer, Robert Beatty, and William Hartnell, of course, who went on to be a Doctor Who.
Of course, lovely, yeah.
And of course, the information is 2 bank robbers tried to find their partners who fled to London. That's all it says.
Fantastic.
Now, I am not going to, obviously I've got to be talking to you, I am not going to follow the action. I will just look up every 15 minutes and tell you what's going on. At the moment, a geezer in a very tight suit with lapels so wide I believe you could land Harrier jets on them, is holding a gun to two other blokes who are equally well dressed in overcoats and making them leave a room not of their own volition. More from the world's suspected person. I will make the point that...
When you said it was two bank robbers, Danny, I thought it was going to be two bank robbers try and pass the English Football League's fit and proper persons test.
No, they'd already be straight in, wouldn't they? And during the show, we'll change over to another film called Spring Meeting, which again has the marvellous Margaret Rutherford in it. And again, an adventuress seeks financial and romantic success in a manner. You know that Talking Pictures TV is run from a garden shed.
Is it really? Is it fantastic?
A father and a daughter, and it's been the most phenomenal success because they showed things that people hadn't seen for years and years and years. All things that people never see, but it is. And if they're listening, I doubt they seem pretty busy to me, but they don't have time to write very detailed synopses of their films. So in this one, Margaret Rutherford seeks financial and romantic success in a manner. That's starting at 2:05.
Good stuff. Is the Irish League playing, Danny? Are they playing the Irish League?
Well, it's a summer league, so it's actually just finished. It just finished when Bray Wanderers, the team my brother supports, blew their chance of promotion on the last day. In fact, they had the chance to go up twice in their last two games and blew it. But no, we're not playing here at the moment. Let me ask you, because we're still, I think, in that strange interregnum between Christmas and New Year, whereas the great novelist John Niven was pointing out yesterday on Twitter, all normal rules of civilization break down. Forget about having to stay safe for the pandemic. He was talking particularly about the foodstuffs you will eat in these particular 4 days. How did your Christmas go, Charlie? I mean, different for all of us this year, wasn't it?
It was very, very nice, actually. Well, I think because it was just the four of us, my wife and I, and our two kids, 13 and 5 strange names, but we're going with it. Because there was no one else turning up, you could really let yourself go, couldn't you? You could really just give in to the foodstuffs, give in to whatever you were having a drink of. I got given a lot of gin, Danny, this year.
How nice.
Slow gin, grapefruit gin, some squid ink gin.
Wow.
And my favourite was just the Gordon's and tonic. So really wasted on me all the nice new gins.
Let me just reverse back there to the words squid ink gin.
It goes black. It goes black. You pour your tonic water on it, and it goes black.
My issue was we had to separate. Normally we'd have a huge gang up here, and we had a small gang, which meant that the people who sent me the more bizarre presents, members of my family who would normally be here to explain themselves, were not.
Right.
And so you're picking up things you think, what exactly is that? For instance, my sister, who's a craft genius, among the many things she made for me, and a beautiful blanket that I will treasure, it'll definitely outlast me, were what appeared to be a pair of socks. Now, of course, it's nice to have a pair of socks, particularly loose-fitting socks if you want to wear them in bed in these cold nights. But I honestly could get inside one of these, and I wonder whether she's knitted me a sleeping bag.
Maybe that's what it is.
I just don't know, honestly. But you remember those adverts? Oh, God, you're probably a bit too young. Billy Connolly was always going on about them, where the thing called a big slipper, where you ladies of a certain age would slip both their feet.
2 feet in one, yes, of course.
Well, I think she's gone back in time.
In the innovations catalogue, exactly.
But she wasn't there to explain to me. On the other hand, and I am completely, since I moved here 2.5 years ago, completely immersed in local society now. I haven't got a single friend.
No friends.
But the one thing that I cannot escape from in England is a particular brand of tea. Now, I don't want it to sound like Ian Rush, who couldn't settle in Italy because he couldn't get baked beans. But a particular tea brand that I like very, very much indeed. And anyone who's worked with me on TalkSport will know I drink an awful lot of tea. I've got a big mug of it here in front of me now, and I'll be drinking 6 of those between now and the end of the show. Well, I can't get it in the Republic of Ireland. It's approximations, close relatives of, and next door neighbours of, and people tease in an adjacent postal district. But I can't. So people just have for Christmas now just send me tons of tea.
Perfect, isn't it?
It's like being one of those people around a plantation in Kenya in the latter part of the 19th century. Send Danny some tea overland, please.
But what it is, Danny, you've made the mistake of being a middle-aged man,
Thank you for that.
Very difficult to buy for, famously difficult to buy for, but you've shown an interest in something. And so because of that, that is all, like, I took up fishing this year. I did quite a lot of fishing because of the pandemic. We were allowed to go and do it.
Every one of your presents.
Every single one of my presents was either a fishing book or I got a pair of what my wife called the worst shoes she's ever seen, which are fish flops, which are flip flops in the shape of perch.
She got no taste at all at all. But I mean, it's evident, obviously. But
I mean, they are horrible, Danny. Even I agreed they were horrible. Yeah, but I made that mistake of taking up a hobby, which means all you get then is the things for the hobby.
20 years ago, I was obsessed with The Simpsons when it was the best American TV show since Bilko. But of course, it's long since run out of steam and become a rather pallid imitation of itself. People have had to be told, sorry, no more Simpsons radios that you stick on the wall of the shower. No more Simpsons Lilos. He doesn't need any more of that.
No more merch.
Thank you for all of that. And of course, in the middle of, as I say, the uncivilized week between Christmas and New Year, we have got a load of football. We should have had more last night. TalkSport's commentary match between Everton and Manchester City was called off for COVID reasons. Lots of people are scratching their heads about exactly how that came about and what it means. And we're trying to get to the bottom of that next here on Kelly and Baker when we talk to the Guardian's Manchester football correspondent, Jamie Jackson. Thank you for joining us here on TalkSport.
Hawksby and Jacobs on TalkSport with Green King. Book now and secure your space at your favourite local on the Green King app or search Home of Pub Sport. 18 plus drink aware.
The KFC Gravy Double Bucket with Pepsi Max. 6 chicken on the bone, 6 mini fillets or 8 hot wings, popcorn chicken, 4 fries, 4 gravy boats and a large bottle of Pepsi Max for maximum taste, no sugar. So much good stuff. So little time. Now at KFC for only $15.99 at drive-thru, takeaway and delivery. Ends 3rd of January at participating restaurants subject to availability.
You may be in contact with more people over the holidays, so it's critical we watch out for COVID-19 symptoms. Here's Dr. Karim.
Remember the signs of COVID-19, a high temperature or a sudden loss or change in your sense of smell or taste or a new continuous cough. If you have any of these, even if you are feeling okay, you must isolate at home to stop the spread. And you must book a test immediately. You can book a test as normal throughout the festive season. Use the NHS COVID-19 app or go to gov.uk/coronavirus.
Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
Here's a great welcome to BritBox. Get 50% off your first 3 months. From drama to documentaries, film to fantastic comedies. Plus, stream exclusive series like BritBox Originals Spitting Image.
Ooh, yes!
So, join BritBox today and save 50% for 3 months. Search BritBox Sale.
Offer ends 10th of January. T's and C's apply.
Calling all small business owners. The clock is ticking and we're not going into extra time. On the 1st of January 2021, the Brexit transition period will have ended. If you own or operate a small business, this means following new business rules on exports, imports and more. And if you move goods into, out of or through Northern Ireland, you should check what you need to do to prepare. Be ready for business. Use the Brexit Checker tool to find out what your business needs to do. Go to gov.uk/transition.
Where on the radio can you hear rivets in football debates?
It's that dome head or flange rivets.
With nailed-on opinions, from who's letting the side down to who's getting the job done.
They've got some amazing deals in here to get any job done.
I see someone's enjoying the Tool Station catalogue. Get down to the nuts and bolts of the sports stories that really matter.
With a team you can always rely on.
What went wrong Saturday?
Well, they're better than us.
Drive, this afternoon from 4 on TalkSport with Tool Station. Tools and more for any task.
Traffic and travel on Talk Sport with Swinton Insurance. We'll help you find the right cover for your car, home, bike, van, taxi and business. Visit swinton.co.uk.
There are delays in the West Midlands on the M6 this afternoon, where a breakdown is blocking off the inside lane northbound from junction 8 to 9 between the M5 up to Wednesbury, causing queues in central London. Oxford Street has been closed westbound from Charing Cross Road along to Berners Street for emergency gasworks, and also Regent Street is closed southbound for emergency waterworks from Margaret Street along to Oxford Circus. In Herefordshire, a serious accident closes the A49 at Hereford in both directions, just off the starting gate roundabout, causing queues on the approach. I'm Johnny Ratner.
I'm Jose Mourinho. I know a thing or two about being special. Being on the front cover of Rolling Stone magazine? Special. Winning the daily jackpot on Paddy Power games? Not special.
Understood, Jose. Yes, someone wins an average £40,000 jackpot every single day. So if you win, don't think you're special. Daily Jackpots by Paddy Power Games. Jackpots must be awarded by 11 p.m. and vary from day to day. Jackpot is shared with other operators. Available on selected games. T's and C's at paddypower.com. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Wednesday is game day. Exclusive full match commentary of
Newcastle versus Liverpool. Coverage from 7:45. Kick-off at 8 on TalkSport.
Official broadcast partner of the Premier League.
Yeah, welcome back to Kelly and Baker with me, Danny Kelly, and Charlie Baker. This is, of course, Hawksby and Jacobs, really, on TalkSport, in partnership with Green King. Now, listen, last night we lost our big football match near the top of the table between Everton and Manchester City. COVID was obviously the reason for it, the pandemic. But a lot of questions have been asked by important people and, of course, people on Twitter. Let's get the very latest from what's happened in those two great northern cities. The Guardian's Manchester football correspondent, Jamie Jackson, joins us here. Hello, Jamie.
Oh, hello, and season's greetings.
Season's greetings to you as well. Look, the game was called off. We were told it was, because of the pandemic. At least that's what the Premier League says. There's no reason to disbelieve that. So why were Everton so evidently angry about this, Jamie?
Well, I think it's because of the timing of it. As I understand it, they only found out kind of when we all did, as it were, rather than being told privately. So their beef, I think, is with, if you can call it that, maybe it's a bit strong, but, their sort of, let's say, puzzlement, bemusement is with the Premier League and why they weren't maybe kept in the loop as much as you probably expect as, one of the football clubs involved in the game yesterday evening.
Jamie, when the pandemic caused the new season to be starting in September, I read a piece which said that the Premier League had said that if you have 14 fit players, and they meant by that including junior players, you would have to play these fixtures because, of course, they were desperately trying to avoid fixture pile-up and all the rest of that. Has that gone by the wayside, that edict?
It's a very good question. I think this is the question that Everton are maybe, one of them that they're wanting addressed. I think the Premier League stance now is that they take it as a case-by-case scenario. So it's not a blanket, concrete, rule which sort of says, as you're indicating, there are 14 players, including sort of junior, under 23 players, whatever it might be, being available. But I do think this is where the clarification is sort of being wanted by Everton. It's not a great situation. What we have to remember, as I'm sure we all do, is that this is about people's health after all. And it's a terrible illness that's very dangerous. Of course, it's killing people. And so that's obviously the first prerequisite that people are safe.
Oh, and particularly the Manchester City players we know of who have tested positive, we wish they and their family absolutely nothing but a quick recovery and the best of health. The issue is, beyond that, how we deal with the pandemic going forward. Because, of course, the Manchester City fans on Twitter were saying, why pick on us? Because, of course, exactly the same thing happened, Jamie, with Newcastle a few days ago.
Yeah, I mean, from Manchester City's point of view, the last thing they want, with regard to the football side of this, now that we've sort of addressed players' health and, the members of staff, it is a fixture pile-up and congestion. They're already a game behind, as you said, because the season starting a month later, and they were a week later as well, along with United and the teams that those two clubs are playing. Manchester City just kind of, between now and the Chelsea game, for example, Danny and Charlie, there's going to be 3 more rounds of COVID tests. There's one today, and then there'll be another 2, as I say, after the one today, between now and the Chelsea game, which I believe is on Sunday. Now, it's all dependent, obviously, on these tests, whether, if we go on to discuss whether Chelsea will go ahead and then the United game in the Carabao Cup semi-final next week, well, it's all in the lap of these tests. And so it's a bit difficult to ascertain from Manchester City's point of view what will happen, because they genuinely don't know. And I think, to be fair to the Premier League, we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's a once in 100-year occurrence, hopefully and thankfully, and there's a little bit sort of dealing with fresh scenarios as they occur. So, if you ask me, do I think the Chelsea game will go on? I really don't know, but you have to say it's in the balance, that's for sure. Obviously, City just played Newcastle, as you mentioned there. They had a COVID outbreak. Steve Bruce was very interesting about this, sort of talking to us after the game, saying, it can, sadly, some people it clears up for straight away, which is great, but sadly for others, it